We firmly believe he is the most well-rounded candidate for the job, and we have every confidence in his ability to lead us to success. Now, Mike and I first met in 2009. I've always admired him from afar. We became professional friends in this business. We've talked over the years about players. We just had a lot of great conversations over the years, and then ultimately we've been in negotiations with one another, and I felt like I'd rather him being on our team than have to go against him and continue to go against him and out there in those negotiations. But obviously we have a history and a relationship. I'm excited for Mike to have this opportunity, and he truly is the best candidate to lead this franchise into the future. And as we all know, we have a big opportunity ahead of us. First with free agency, and the NFL draft is fast approaching, and it's a pivotal moment for this team. This will be Mike's first opportunity to put his stamp on our roster, and we're excited to get to work. There's a lot of talent available, and we know that Mike's approach to player evaluation and his commitment to building a team that can contend year after year gives us the best chance to succeed. We're all ready for the challenge, and we're all in this together. Mike, I want to welcome you and your family to the Titans organization. We're excited to see what the future holds under your leadership. We know you're ready to roll up your sleeves and get to work, and we couldn't be more excited for what lies ahead. Thank you all once again for being here today. We're ready to get started and take this next step in our journey toward building a championship football team. With that, I'll turn things over to Mike Borgonzi to share a few words. Mike, the floor is yours.
It's certainly been a whirlwind here for me and my family for the past 3 days, but we are just tremendously excited to be here today. I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. I am tremendously proud and honored to be named the next general manager of the Tennessee Titans. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Amy, Kenneth, Burke, Vin, Adolfo, and Brian for entrusting me with this opportunity. It is truly a dream come true for me to be a part of the Titans family now. You know, this was a thorough process that we went through, that I went through with the search committee with a lot of great candidates. As I went through my interview last week, I remember calling my wife Jill after I left the building, and I said, you know what, I think this is the one for us. It checked a lot of boxes for us. Great ownership, great fan base, great people in the building that I got to meet, and it's Nashville. One of the big priorities for me, if I was going to uproot my family from Kansas City, is a place that we love. It had to be the right fit. And we feel like Nashville is the right fit for our family, and we can't wait to get to the community and start meeting everybody. The other reason why I took this job and I thought it was appealing was because of Chad Brinker. And Chad just mentioned we've known each other since 2009. We've had a great friendship, great working relationship. I believe in everything that Chad stands for, and I'm thrilled for the opportunity now to partner with him now.
Was having the first pick and our 50 million attention.
Sure, that's pretty attractive. But that wasn't solely the main reason why I came here. Like I told you, it was because of ownership. It was because of the people in this building: Chad, Coach Callahan, Burke, Amy, everybody that I've met, and this fan base, which we've played here before. I know what type of fan base this is. I know they're passionate, and like I said, the city of Nashville. So there's a lot of factors that came into play.
Mike, what is your comfort level and understanding of the structure that is in place for you, Chad, so on and so forth?
Yeah, where I came from in Kansas City, we didn't really see any structure. We all kind of worked together to make the best decisions for the team. So we weren't really concerned about titles there. At the end of the day, we were trying to make the best decision for the team at that point.
Can you give us maybe a specific example of somebody or a couple guys that you helped their case with the Chiefs as that guy wound up being part of the roster?
Been there a long time. You know, this process, it starts at these all-star games. We sit in meetings. So when people say, you know, he stood up on the table for this player or that player, we made the decisions long before the draft came. You know, there's certain people, certain players along the way that, you know, we have different opinions on. But at the end of the day, we're making that decision. I would never stamp my name on any player there.
How familiar are you, Mike, I guess, with the current personnel on this team, and what's the process like in kind of making it your own?
Yeah, so I knew a lot of these players coming out of college when I studied them coming out for the draft. Of course, I watched a lot of them here this season before I prepped for the interview. You know, there's some talent on this roster, but we're a 3-win football team right now. So that's not good enough, and we're going to have to look, you know, everywhere to improve it. Whether that's upgrading starters or upgrading depth. You know, when I'll get to sit down more here with the coaches and get a better understanding of all the players. But there's some talent on this roster. You know, we're going to have to upgrade some positions, though.
Mike, one of the things that when you were with the Chiefs, they bottomed out about a decade or so ago. But beyond drafting Patrick Mahomes, obviously, what was kind of the shift in culture there that turned them around and made them a contender?
Yeah, so 2012, we were 2-14, and we had the first pick in the draft in 2013. You know, Andy Reid came in and he instilled a winning culture and changed a lot of the habits of everybody in the organization. You know, we had a different process in drafting at that point. We were more collaborative. And we took to the model of drafting and developing and supplementing free agency when we did, but with the right type of guys. You know, in 2013, it was like Mike DeVito, I don't know if you remember his name, Anthony Fasano, like just tough blue-collar guys that were great leaders for the team. And I kind of envision that same situation here, where we're going to have to fill some holes in free agency, and we want to do it with the right type of guys. Every move that we made in Kansas City was as a group. So, you know, coming here with Chad and knowing Chad, you know, that's the same situation when I was working with Brett. You know, we're going to come and make the best decisions for the team. So it never really crossed my mind.
So then, to follow up with maybe a naive question, how is this job different from your last job?
Well, I'll have full authority over the free agent process and the draft, whereas Brett had most of that in Kansas City, and I was here to help and assist. And I see this as a great partnership with Chad, and he can help me along the way because he's come up as a scout, and I'm going to lean on him a lot as well.
What does that mean, full authority over free agency? I thought Chad had full authority on the roster.
Well, I have full authority over the process. Now, Chad will break tie if there's ties. He's in charge of the 53, and that's why that is put in there. But I'll have full authority over running the meetings, the draft. I will pick the players.
Mike, when it comes to that #1 overall pick, what has been the early conversations you've had with Chad and Seth?
It's early. We just started. The first thing we're talking about is our roster, and then getting down to the Senior Bowl and the East-West actually first. So we're very early in those discussions.
30 draft picks in the next 3 years, 12 in the top 100. How realistic is it to get those picks, and how difficult will it be?
It's certainly it's possible, to do that. You know, like I said, we just have to have discipline in the draft as we're going through the process. Draft picks are our biggest form of currency. So when there's opportunities to trade back to collect more picks, we're going to do that. So that's always the goal, to try to get as many picks in the top 100 as you can.
Mike, when you were in Kansas City for the 16 years, what did you learn about identifying talent that fits your team, and what is that you're looking for? Like, what's the kind of the description of what you're looking for?
Yeah, so I briefly touched on big picture what you want the team to look like: big, physical, and trenches, fast and violent. So we've had a very collaborative group in Kansas City. We're in constant communication with our coaches, and that's one of the things that, when I just got here now, but I talked with Brian, is, I want to meet with every coach on the staff. I want to meet with Brian. I want to see, what the formula is for that player. We're never going to waver on the character part, of course, but in terms of the scheme, we want a profile of what we're looking for that player. So, I'm looking forward to doing that with Brian and his staff, but that's something we did with Coach Reed and his staff.
You talk about big physical, fast, violent. I imagine that's what everybody's probably looking for this time of year. Just what gives you the confidence that you can separate that and find the people you're looking for rather than just go for what's big?
Yeah, you have to be very thorough in the process and define exactly what you're looking for. So if you want a big, tough offensive line, and those are the guys you take, and you got to go out and find them, whether that's free agency, trades, draft, waiver claims. You have to search under every rock, and if you want to have fast players, look for fast players and identify those. And like I said, it's not just collecting talent, though. It has to be the right fit with the talent and the character piece.
Chad, when it comes to draft picks, Mike said that he's got the final say on the draft picks. But if, for instance, with this number one pick, if you had a strong conviction that the guy that Mike liked was not the answer, would you be able to overrule Mike on that route?
Like I said before when we talked, this is going to be a we decision. You got to understand the process that we go through in all this. We're going to be in that draft room starting when we get back from the All-Star games. No daylight for the month of February. Our process is, we get in the room, we start with the offensive tackles, and we go from the top of the draft board all the way to the bottom, and we watch 3 or 4 games on every guy and start building the board. Once we get to the draft, you let the board talk to you. The work has been done at that point, and you allow the board to talk to you. But ultimately, like I said before, Mike is hired to build this roster, and he's going to get every opportunity to build the roster.
Chad, when it comes to draft picks, Mike said that he's got the final say on the draft picks. But if, for instance, with this number one pick, if you had a strong conviction that the guy that Mike liked was not the answer, would you be able to overrule Mike on that route?
Like I said before when we talked, this is going to be a we decision. You got to understand the process that we go through in all this. We're going to be in that draft room starting when we get back from the All-Star games. No daylight for the month of February. Our process is, we get in the room, we start with the offensive tackles, and we go from the top of the draft board all the way to the bottom, and we watch 3 or 4 games on every guy and start building the board. Once we get to the draft, you let the board talk to you. The work has been done at that point, and you allow the board to talk to you. But ultimately, like I said before, Mike is hired to build this roster, and he's going to get every opportunity to build the roster.
Chad, this is your guys' third attempt at this kind of construction. What gives you the confidence that this is going to be the thing that gets it right?
I think Mike Borgonzi.
So just to clarify, when you guys are setting the board and you're deciding, okay, here's who we like at number one, if he has a strong conviction for who number one is and you don't believe that, who then goes in the number one slot?
We will work through that together as a team. I know what you're trying to get to. I understand the question, but that's not always how it works inside the NFL building. Mike just kind of talked about that, how the process worked with Andy Reid and Brett Beach and the group over there. It's not going to be any different here. We're all going to be involved in working through that, and we want to be in a room. We want diversity of thought in the room. You want to have healthy debate. You want to go through those things together. And, if Mike sees something in a player that I'm not seeing, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back and watch more tape on that player and vice versa. We're just trying to get to the right decision for the Tennessee Titans, and that's why I believe this partnership is going to work. We both grew up in the same system, and it's not that we're always going to think the same, but I think the process will mine that out, and we'll eventually get to that point where we agree on what we're picking, whether it's number one or whatever round that is.
Mike, as you go through the process, Shrine Week, Senior Bowl, and you evaluate these quarterbacks, like how much does getting your hands on and being able to feel them in person go into your evaluation, and then also your experience with and your input in Patrick Mahomes and drafting off of what he can do as opposed to what he has to improve upon? Like how much would that play into if you guys take a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback position, you need to go in person and see that player, whether it's practice, all-star games. So that's going to be a very important part of it. And then just, sitting down, meeting with the player and have Coach Callahan, his staff, talk to him as well. That's a big part of it. When we went through with Patrick, we identified him early. It was a rare skill set that you could see. And we took it through the process in the spring, and we brought him in the building, met with him at the combine to really figure out his football intelligence, which was very high. And then we had a plan for him when we drafted him. We had Alex Smith at the time, and we were disciplined with that plan. There was a lot of temptations to play him, especially when you saw him in training camp, but we stuck to that plan. And that was part of the development of the quarterback. There was things that he needed to improve on, and we had a first-class person in Alex Smith that really took him under his wing and taught him that. So every quarterback's different in terms of the development and what they need.